Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another interesting episode of the Young Lawyer series, hosted by Buwule and Mayiga Advocates and the Mentorship Café, alias Coffee with Alice. So as we've been sharing, the main reason as to why we do the Young Lawyer series is to shed a light on what the path is for us, the dreams that we have, and who can hold our hand, paint a picture of what practice is like away from law school and the LDC, but also align our dreams and expectations. On this particular day, I hope you've made it home safe and dry, irrespective of the downpour this evening, and we're happy to see you. So on today's episode, I'm joined by someone whose mentorship, whose guidance I've enjoyed for, I think, a little over 6 years, and more delightedly, she's the brain behind Coffee with Alice. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in your sitting rooms, in your cars, for those who are still stuck in traffic, to welcome Alice Namuli Blazevic. So, Mrs. Blazevic, we're happy to have you. It's always a pleasure to have these discussions. I was joking with Mary. For those who don't know Mary, she's the other brain behind this, and perhaps at a particular point in time we'll be able to drag her in front of the camera so that she can do one of these interviews. So we're happy to have you once again, Mrs. Blazevic. Okay. And I would want to know, away from formalities, how you'd prefer to be, how you'd introduce yourself to someone who is getting to know you today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. Always really happy to share in this kind of spaces. I also definitely learn a lot, so it's a privilege to be here. So you would want a brief introduction of me?
A brief introduction, how you would do it, because I know if I do it, we'll be here for another 10 minutes. No. So I prefer you do it so that,
Simply, yes. I'm Alice Namuli Blazevic. I'm a partner with Katende SMP1 Company Advocates. I highly specialize in technology and the law. I do everything pretty much, or I represent clients or businesses who specialize in emerging technologies. I don't actually think they're emerging technologies anymore. I would say they're actually the current technologies. So. But anyway, yeah, in there, I also highly specialize in working with fintechs. Those are financial technologies. And, but broadly, it's usually businesses that heavily rely on the emerging technologies and use basically a lot of data, which has also taken me into specializing in data protection and cybersecurity. Yeah, and this has also been for the last, I guess, 9, now it's coming to 10 years, but before that my practice was in infrastructure projects, PPPs, mergers and acquisitions, and private equity. Yeah.
Interesting. So I think
that is me. That is me in as a lawyer.
As a lawyer,
yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, notably there is another side, but
there are so many other hats.
There's so many other sides.
We want to get into them unless you ask
them.
Yeah.
But there is certainly a component of this interview that we'll get into that. But given our topic today, the path to partner, navigating law firm hierarchies, we'll be sticking majorly to the legal side of it. So your partner now, you are heavily involved in AI technologies. One would want to know something. I mean, there's a journey before this, so we want to go back to the start. Your life growing up and the bias towards your life in school,
My life growing up
was.
And in school?
Yes.
Oh my God.
We'd want to know how school was, which schools, the experience with a bias towards, of course, law school.
Towards law, I just started in law school. Basically, I would say I was very, which is kind of absurd. I feel like I just went through school to survive. You understand? Like for me, it was survival mode. Like, how do I get out of here? Because the main reason I say that is I realized later that there was so much about me that never came out of school.
In school.
And reason was because of the setup. Our setup is very tailored to a type, you understand, an average, Ugandan or human being. Yet I feel like there's so much about a human being, or there's so much about me, that I feel like if you asked anyone who went to school with me, they would be like, no, is like, depending on the things that right now I do, they would have a challenge to put me in that space. And it's because, to me, I was just thinking, okay, how do I get out of here? How do I thrive? How do I make sure that I'm not on the wrong side of the law, depending on which school I was in. And so that's the unfortunate bit. Is for me, I feel like I was just surviving through. I was like, I need the marks to get into law school. So what could have inspired me to do law? This is also something I've searched. I have reflected on over the years, and at first I thought it was my father who inspired me, because he was a lawyer. Of course, to a great deal, he mentored me and kind of inspired me in the physical sense of it. But then I did some kind of training. It was a leadership training, and it turned out that I have a streak in me that hates unfair situations. So it has been there since childhood, that I've always liked to create a space which is fair for everyone. And it actually angers me. So this was a training which just brings out the young person, what they call it, the child in you. What inspires you, what makes you do the things you do in life. So that came out, and I was like, I was actually quite, it was a surprise that could have triggered my journey into law, because to me, I just wanted justice. I've always wanted a situation where we have a fair play for every human being, and everything like I do still. I just want systems that benefit everyone. So that explains my involvement into community work, explains the mentorship that I do.
So actually getting into the other side, yes.
So when you think about that, like, that was a journey for me to say, what skills can I get to create a fair world? And I felt like definitely law, being a lawyer, but maybe also personality. I'll let you know.
So
later.
I'm really keen on asking the particular schools, most of those before law school, if you don't mind sharing.
Before what?
Before law school, the particular schools, if you don't mind sharing.
Particular school. Yes. I went like from primary school, as in Budo,
Budo Junior?
The junior school. Yeah.
Interesting, yes.
But like, why I said that, my journey from school right now, I don't relate with it pretty much anymore. But
I hear you. So the reason I'm actually asking about the schools is because for so many young lawyers, those within my age group, so the people that look up to you always want to identify. So that may be the element that they actually hinge on to. We went to the same primary school, we went to the same secondary school. So it's always something that someone can hinge on.
The school that actually that definitely defined me is like my primary school. Like I told you, we call it Kawinja. And then after that, I was in what they call it, King's College, Budo. I feel like they defined me, and because those were my younger years, and they shaped me, and that also explains. That has also what they confirmed to me when I teach my children. So the values you get as a child, from the age of, I think, up to what, most probably up to the age of 10, then up to like the age of 16, what you have experienced or what you have been taught those years make you. Meaning, if I had been now thrown in Japan, that's I'm still the girl or the human being that was nurtured in those schools.
In those schools. Yeah. So interesting that you say that you feel like you survived through the system. As this was supposed to come on much later, but I'll bring it up now since we're talking about schools and the way they are. You have, there's a time when you did, and I'm sure you still do, a bit of mentorship with students within schools, more so law schools. What are some of those innovative or changes, that perhaps you would want to see in the way that law is taught in Uganda today that you think a young lawyer needs before they actually get to LDC and into actual practice?
Some of the things I usually say is basically enhance your soft skills, because there's so much we learn in school. But then what we learn in school turns out to be have a very small impact in terms of who you are and how actually you thrive in legal practice, right? So what I could say is, I don't even think right now, I don't know which schools actually perform best in terms of, I don't know, to get the best grades for law school or not. But I feel if you also focus on other skills and bring out, if you focus on your the soft skills, you understand, by the time you're done with law school, then you're able to thrive much more than someone actually who is really, really good who was skilled in academically.
Curriculum.
Why would I say that? First of all, right now, as you know, there are so many people who score, high grades, right? But then when you reach in a work environment, it's a completely different game. So you ask yourself, what did I do? I really scored highly. I got first classes throughout. I have 2 master's degrees, or most probably and a PhD. But then there's something amiss. Yeah. So it can be quite frustrating, I think. But the soft skills, which meaning learning how to work with people, learning how to negotiate, learning how to develop business. You understand? Of course, especially in a law firm.
BD.
Yeah. But I think especially communication skills. Communicating clearly and effectively. So many of us, we communicate, but the question is that how clear is your communication? And that can be very, very frustrating. We never understand who we are communicating to, how we should communicate. We always feel that I'm communicating. If I open my mouth, I'm communicating. Yet there are so many ways actually of communicating. I communicate with my clothes. I communicate with the shoes I wear. There's so many ways. There's invisible,
communication.
Yeah. So some of those skills, if you learn them at a much earlier age, actually it helps you, because you're going to knock at people's doors and then you'll be able to, of course, you're going to be so many. Right now, you're so many lawyers. Yes. Now the question is that how do you stand out? Another thing I would say is the other skill sets actually you can learn through. You can learn how to be a leader. That also I think helps at a much younger age. So it helps with your confidence. When you lead yourself well, you actually, when you lead yourself, or learn how to lead yourself, you end up showing up as a better person. Do you understand? Because it's all about confidence, and clients love that. You could be very young, but also very confident. You could have 30 years of experience, but quite kind of meek, and no one would want to hire a lawyer who is not very sure of themselves,
of who they are.
So I feel, if you to before you get into law school, or while you're also in law schools, please nurture those other skills. That is just not about academics.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to take us back a little bit. You've told us how you came to the decision to become a lawyer, which is, I would say everyone's story is different, but I find this. I don't know whether the word divine is too much, but it goes a little bit deeper. So away from that, I would want to ask, if you were not a lawyer today, doing the work, what would you do? What would you be?
What would I be? I would be many things. Right now, I feel, if I tell you, recently I just discovered that I have a green thumb, and it excited me so much. Yeah, I didn't know I had a green thumb.
What's a green thumb?
I'm able to grow things like I can plant something and
yes,
actually
okay.
grows, and I can.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because so many people, if you don't have a green thumb, you
Yes.
can't even grow anything in a tin, right? Yeah. So there are people like that, and I didn't know actually I had it until someone visited me and saw all these plants in my house and outside, in the compound. I was like, oh my goodness, your plants are very healthy, and I'm like, what do you mean? So before that, I had started being curious and inquisitive about the different plants and understanding the whole process of how can I help the plant actually grow and thrive. But anyway, because of that, now trust me, I'm into all sorts of things. I'm gardening, and anyway. So if you ask me right now, what would I be? Oh my God, maybe I should ask you, what do you think? Because I feel I have so many hats and I don't want now to be boxed into anything. And so I think I'm multi-talented. So I'll still be, I don't like to be put in a box.
Yes.
That's one thing. It actually, it irritates me. What would I be? I like to connect people, actually. That's another thing. I also like to connect people. I like to I'm many things. Yes. What do you think?
Interesting. So I promised myself, by the way, as we're coming into the show, that I'll try and not bias anyone. Because, I mean, truthfully, there's so much to you, and there's so much to what you do. Excellent work, really. So I told myself I'll try and, leave it up to you. Yes.
What I would want to share?
Yes.
That's actually a very interesting question. That what would I be? You're asking me that what would I go back to school to study if I was not a lawyer?
Yes, because
I would definitely. I'm an entrepreneur, so I like creating. I like creating things. I like having an idea and bringing it to following through. And so if I was to go back to school, I would definitely study
business,
finance, management. Yeah, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I feel, if I was literally to go back to school, most probably I would go into finance. Yeah. Okay.
So, you've heard it, ladies and gentlemen. I know Ms. Blazevic is multi-talented. So, away from that, now that you've mentioned business, so I would want to know, one wants to be a partner. We all want to be a partner. I mean, not today, not tomorrow, but yesterday. As soon as you leave law school, everyone wants to have their name somewhere. Now, either you grow in the ranks or you start up on your own. Is the business mindset, the BD component, the entrepreneur aspect, are these important for someone to be partner? And we could take it to a lower notch, because the easiest way to do that is if you actually get together with a band of friends and start out a partnership and then start your firm. So is this a component that every single person should have before they become partner, even if they're just growing in the ranks?
Well, there are many paths, I guess, to making partner. But genuinely, I feel there's a very big component, aspect to the growth of a law firm, and that is, growing your portfolio, you understand? And growing that portfolio definitely involves a lot of networking, developing different tools for you to be able to actually to make sure that your portfolio grows, right? And I feel, so the question now would be that there are different ways, like you said, for getting into partner. Either you work on the assignments that are given to you, and then I guess you do them very well and you excel. There's that path. Or you could, but that's a little bit difficult, I feel. There's the other part whereby you can actually grow your networks and be able to actually grow your portfolio, meaning you able to go out and get your own get your clients and add value to the business, the business of the law firm, right? And there's so many tools you can learn to do that. I also feel sometimes it's our personalities actually also help, which means that if you're not that type of person who is out there and willing to go great lengths to reach out to as many markets as possible, you might have that challenge. But then you can learn like, how can I actually be able to where do I see growth? You understand? Being able to predict the future, studying trends. All these are small tools you can actually acquire. Seriously, when I think about some of these things, I read a lot of books on Blinkist, and many people say our personality is actually characters. Also help a lot. Like, there's very little you can do about your personality
and who you are.
But then I also feel that you can learn. I feel when you know that most probably I have this strength or I have this weakness, then you can do something about it. So to generally answer your question, it's all about becoming a partner. It's about the value you're adding to the firm. Yes, you could be able to do the work, but then as you grow, you can't just be there just receiving work, right? So the question is that with the networks you have, with the clients you already have, how do you grow clients from the portfolio you have? Because when you join a law firm, you're given assignments. Now the question is that how do you multiply? For me, that was my trick, like how multiplying from what I've been given. You know how they say in the Bible, you're given 5,000 shillings, and then you think through it and it's like, how do I make sure that by the end of the year I have $50,000? Someone has given you 5,000. So having that mindset, I think, is extremely important. Then it becomes much easier. You don't even think about it. You just grow, as opposed to, this is the work I've been given. I have to do it. I have to stay on my desk and from 8 to 5 and finish all the work that I'm supposed to do. Yes, do all the work you're required to do, but then look beyond. How do I add value to this establishment? It can't just be that my footprint is just, to occupy this small space and then leave at the end of the day. How do I, and also you have to self-reflect and say, who am I as a person? But that's a journey. When you're younger, your challenges are different, your goals, objectives. There's so many things. When thinking back, I'm like, at that time, when I joined CATS, I wanted to go back and study, but then good enough, I met like different people who were mentoring me at that time, within law and outside law. And I just realized the kind of success they had achieved had nothing to do with pretty much even what they had studied. And also I realized later my soft skills were helping me to grow and thrive instead of my academics, right? Yeah, so I guess having also people to mentor you can help you to get into to understand what you need to do actually
to get there.
Yeah, it could be within the law firm or outside the law firm.
Outside the law firm. Okay, so speaking of the law firm, you are partnered Katende Sempewa, and truth be told, not to be patriarchal, I know I'll be attacked for this, but truth be told, there haven't been so many female partners out there, more so at the point when you actually made partner, more so in the big law firms. So for you, it was a journey of growing to partner. But if I may take you back still on the journey within the law firm, how do you end up at Katende Sempewa?
How do I end up at CATS? So when that's a very, very interesting story. We're at LDC. And before actually LDC, I had known about CATS way before. And why? Because these are the things as I'm talking about. I had mentors actually in the legal profession. So to me, I knew about CATS as a law firm. I liked it. I would, of course, go on the internet, look it up. So when I went to LDC, I was like, okay, this is where I want to apply for internship. And I applied at CATS. It's the only firm I applied. I made my application.
So no plan Bs.
Like, there was no plan B, which was weird. So at the end, when everyone was like, "Oh, I've got a placement here. I've got a placement here," I'm like, "Okay." It turns out I did this right at the beginning of LDC. As soon as we started LDC, I applied. I made an application. But anyway, somehow I wasn't getting a response. I called and then I was told that, "Oh, sorry, we've not received your application." I was like, "Oh my God, that's not possible." Luckily enough, I had a copy which had been received, so I brought it, and it turned out I had been actually the first person to apply. And this is a trick I usually actually tell people, like a strategy. Like if you're the first in line, people always, so consider you, because to me it was kind of obvious. Like of all the interns, anyone who wanted to intern at CATS
from
I was
LDC.
I was the first, and I had put in my application way
earlier.
Yeah. So and when I called, they was like, "Oh, sorry, yeah, we've actually traced your application. Yeah, you can come in." So during the interview, that also came up. It was like, "Why did you apply so early?"
There was an interview.
There was an interview. Yeah, exactly. At that time, all our colleagues at LDC were like, they interviewed you. Well, I had like 2 interviews. Looking back,
wow.
Yeah, there were 2 interviews. And then another thing, I stood out. It was what? I was doing French at the same time. I was doing a French diploma. I did 4 levels of French.
Where was that?
At university.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had that on my CV. So the other thing is that be very strategic, know what you want, and just go for it. So all my eyes were focused on CATS. That was during my internship. I was like, okay, I needed this. I need an internship in this space. And then the second thing was have something that helps you to stand out. So for me, it was the French. And unfortunately, in Uganda, there are not many people you speak French with. So after some time, you rust. But guess what? I am able to actually write and read French much better than speaking it, because you don't speak it as much. But I do remember that on my CV, that everyone was asking me, what is this whole French thing about? Yeah, so that was my standing out point on my CV. So when I interned there, I really enjoyed the place. And after school, I was like, okay, I want to go to my master's, but all the people who were mentoring me were like, no, take off time, first work, and then you can apply for your master's later. So that helped me. You see what mentors do? That's the duty of a mentor, to tell you, you know what, you don't know actually what you want. At that time, I guess I could have just applied for a general LLM. Can you imagine struggling through all that for what? Yeah. So and because when I had clerked there and I really enjoyed the environment, I loved the fact that they were working a lot on very big cases. At that time, they had a very big international footprint, regional, and the cases were really amazing. So to me, it was a very natural process to apply again after my internship.
Okay, so to actually now
imagine,
work
so
there.
I'm a partner not from associate, from intern.
From intern.
So, yeah.
Interesting. So
from an intern to
partner.
So then I go through the ranks.
That's quite a journey, and you've notably, I mean, for anyone that knows, you've enjoyed quite an illustrious career. So I would ask, you've put in a lot of work, and this is me still trying to be as as basic as possible, not to say more than I should. That's for you.
Yes.
Yes, but you've enjoyed a really illustrious career, and there's a lot of input and intentionality. So my other question would be, we go through a lot as individuals, and we have so many things in front of us. Sometimes they are not positive things that push us towards the dreams that we want to achieve. So what is that one thing that gets you up in the morning, no matter the weather, no matter how you're feeling, that will get you working?
As a human being,
Yes. What's the push?
The push is it has always been for me to create actually a fairer world. Like whatever I do, I'm like, how can I contribute to this? Now I like the fact that I'm in two different spaces that are contributing to a new civilization. New civilization means an alternative world where people are more in touch with themselves. They are connected to themselves. They understand themselves. And that also means working, partnering, collaborating with people who either have the same value system or who understand that world. The world I'm working with other people, to achieve. And that also has had a very big impact in my legal practice. As I've grown older, I like to work with clients who are into impact. You understand, like whose impact I really, really understand. It's not really about making money. Of course, it's important to make money. Trust me, I love making money. But at the same time, I like to work with companies or businesses that, there's a reason beyond just, making money.
Just
and
the
that's
currency.
why I enjoy actually working with fintechs, because fintechs, many of the people in the fintech world, by the time they sit down to create whatever product, it's about creating a change in society. So I really like to work with people who are creating change, who are having an impact beyond themselves. You understand? It's just not about me waking up and earning and being wealthy as an individual. I like to work. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, how can I make this world better? What project can I be part of that can bring about change for every human being and for every living thing, actually. Every human being and every living thing. So why every living thing? Because I've learned this project I'm part of. It's called Eco-Civilization. I've learned that all human beings, we are connected, and when you're hurting or you're suffering, it somehow affects me as the other human being, and also other living things in our environment. When we harm forests, when we harm plants, when we harm rather the earth we occupy, when we harm the water bodies, when we harm the animals, it actually comes back to harm us as human beings, right? So I'm in that space whereby I want everything to thrive. I want other human beings to thrive. I want a society, a country, a world which is healthy for every living thing. Yeah, that's really what wakes me up, and I'm like, what can I do? What can I do what can I do? What can I do? Okay, yeah, I'm part of this, and then what more? So that keeps driving me, and I'm into all these spaces. How can I help like children from a very young age to thrive? It doesn't have to be my own children, but children in a community that I'm in, children in Uganda, so that those children, for the next generation, they are better, they know themselves. Yeah, so it's just cultivating spaces that help all human beings to thrive.
That seems like a lot of weight on
on
one's shoulders.
It's not, because I work with people, I work with teams, I work with and these are like global movements, so I'm not by myself. And I like the fact that so many of the people I work with, they're on the same wavelength, same frequency, so we vibrate the same way.
Okay, so speaking of collaborations, just to bring it back a little bit home, you are partnered at Katende Sempewa, but no matter how generous and how good they would want to be, I'm sure you can't take up each and every single person. So the question I'm going to ask you, given that you are in the mentorship space, And I'm sure if I were to put your mentors in this room, we would need more space. We'd probably need the whole floor of the MCI. And by the way, thank you guys. Are there some law firms, aside from Katende Sempewa, that perhaps through collaborations that you've done, you would recommend young lawyers to set their eyes on? Now that you've given us a different angle, of looking at a particular law firm, doing what it takes and investing. Are there some law firms that are emerging, they could be emerging, or perhaps they've been in practice for a while that you would recommend young lawyers to keep a keen eye on?
Of course, the first law firm I would recommend would be Katz.
Yes.
And reason is that Katz, to me, the space it has provided is it nurtures you as a lawyer, so you thrive as a profession, as a professional, a legal professional. But at the same time, it also allows you, it gives you space to grow in other areas. You understand? And to me, I think that's extremely important for the health of a human being. I cannot imagine if I'll still be in law if my other areas are not fulfilled. Do you understand?
If you had to put them aside.
Yeah, like I genuinely like to be involved in community work, and I like to grow communities. So if I was not given that space to be, I don't think I would still be interested in law. So that is something I'm really grateful for. And at the same time, anyone who does not, how can I explain it, doesn't want to be put like in a box and feel like caged in a way that this is all who you are. You understand? You're a lawyer from the time you left law school until you die. Katz definitely is something I would highly recommend. But of course, you also trained at a very high level, so that's excellent. Aside from that, any other law firms I like I've worked with so many lawyers over the years.
Yeah,
so
maybe you could actually look at it
bias?
from that angle. Maybe you could look at it from that angle without necessarily mentioning law firms, because I don't get it's a bit complicated there, but perhaps particular lawyers. And I know, and I'm sorry, I know
lawyers to look out to mentor.
Yes, I know there's Simka attended every single time we attended the sessions.
But you see,
he had a lot to share.
The challenge is that if I would recommend someone, it should be people should have the interest in mentoring others, right?
Yes.
And creating that space. So why I was recommending Sim is because I know him, and I know where his heart is when it comes to sharing information. So some people are that, like, it's not that they don't even want to share information, they don't see the need to share the information. So at least it's someone I can vouch for, that any day, anytime, yeah. I know I've also been mentored. I just feel as a young lawyer, what I can advise is that you can know yourself and know what kind of legal practice would I want. How would I want to practice law? And then you look around and say, I like what this lawyer is doing in their area. And then you can reach out to them. Because for me to wake up and say, Patrick, I think you should go to this lawyer in, I don't know which particular law firm, it's I don't think it's fair. Because we have the inner intuition.
Yes.
Which can guide you and let you know that, you know what, this is the kind of practice I would want. I would want a practice, like, let me say, it could be in robotics, it could be in real estate, it could be in family law. And then you look around and say, I like how this actually lawyer, they handle their practice, and I would love them to share with me their story. I would want them to hold my hand. That's what I've done all my years. I got to a point in Uganda, where I was really, really struggling in the legal tech. And it wasn't really struggling, but it was like there was no one on the legal in Uganda who was able to nurture my curiosity. So I just reached out to people abroad, around the world, and those people held my hand, because I'm sure also them it was a shock. You understand, someone from Kampala, Uganda, reaching out to these like legal tech gurus around the world, and seeking mentorship, seeking help, seeking guidance, and they were very good at it. And so they put me in spaces that I myself I'll never ever have imagined to be, because right now I serve on many international boards or different advisory boards globally in the legal tech world. And it's because of I decided to get out of Uganda and seek guidance from people who had moved a journey ahead of me, and sitting on like really on their feet and learning from them. But it was about me identifying people around the world and saying, I really like what this guy is doing. He's written about this, and I've been in spaces that I literally just had to pinch myself and wonder, how did I even get into this? And
so if there's one thing that I'm hearing in this journey so far, is there seems to be a lot of service in there, and we tend to downplay that, because of how fast we want things to happen. So I'd want you to speak, a little bit to that. How important is it to serve a mentor, or to serve someone that you want to learn from us, to be able to
serve someone learn. You want to mentor you?
Yes. Sort of working under them to learn from them.
Learn from them.
Yes.
Learning from someone doesn't mean actually you have to physically be with them. Like I said, the people who really mentored me in the tech space are all over the world, and I didn't have to meet them, but I could read. First of all, it could be books about the books they've written. It could be articles. There's a guy, he's a very, very good friend of mine. He's called Andrew Cohen, and he writes for Forbes magazine. So to me, it was like every time he wrote something or published something, I would be the like literally the first person to look it out and read it, understand his mindset, where his mind was at that particular time. There's another guy called he's actually from the UK. He's an English lawyer. I can now even forgotten him. But anyway, so he's published so many books about the future of the lawyer. And reading, I would read the books, reach out to them, ask them. It could be about a topic they've shared, or ask for a collaboration, ask them to speak at an event. So the guy who writes for Forbes is called Mark Cohen. And then the one, the UK guy is called Richard Sansky. So these are people who are, if you think about it, they were clearly so far from me, and definitely they're seniors in the legal profession. But how did they mentor me? Did I have to, of course, did I have to go and fly in wherever they are, sit down? But no, it's just basically asking them. It could be a session actually online. It could be also them, pointing you in a direction. So you don't have to be with someone every single day. You could also learn from them from afar. And also for me, it was also the recommendation of like, oh, Alice, there's this kind of thing. Would you be interested in this? Or there's this kind of thing. We are working here. Would you like to be this and this? Or me asking, can we partner here? Can we collaborate? Can I invite you to speak at this event? There's this thing about us young lawyers. Would you be interested in doing this for the young lawyers? And many of them were very interested in the work I do with young lawyers. So it's I don't believe that you have to, you said serve someone? No.
Not service as in serve, but to take on a journey of learning, working under someone.
With them.
Yes,
You can
working
work with them remotely. Because even now, so many people I work with, I don't, they're not in my space every single day. Yeah. But we could have like calls online. I could share information. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking about being in your space every single day, one would want to know, with the work that you do and the things that you juggle and the international collaborations, what, if you could paint for us a picture, what does the typical day look like for
me?
Yes, for Alice Namuli Blazevic.
So, I mean, for me right now, I call it in a season where I have learned, which is actually very exciting, how my body works and how I can get the best out of my body. So many people who have known me for long, they know I'm a nocturnal, and because my body functions very well late in the night, but then in the morning, I would struggle to wake up because the whole night I've been awake, right? And so I just realized, I think for the longest time, my body was not in sync with my schedule or timetable. So recently, in the last couple of years, I'd say 3 years, I understood that the way my body clock works could be completely different from so many human beings. And it all started from people telling me that you don't sleep, you're going to get this kind of disease and the other. And actually, it could be very true. But at the same time, I've also learned that I'm that type of person who, I think I sleep in phases. So when I work a lot at night and sleep late, then wake up from 3 up to 5, I'm awake. Then I sleep again from 5 up to 6:30, they're coming pretty much to 7. So then that helps me to start my routine. So many people are like, oh my goodness, you're missing out the 5 a.m. club. I tried it, trust me. I'm like a zombie. And I'm like, I read that book. You have ever heard of a 5 a.m.?
Yes, I have. And I'm
like, who are these human beings? But then I've also I've read other people's books, and they're like, so they help me to understand my body. That my body, it's not a 5 a.m. Because at 5 a.m., I get like the hugest bout of sleep. It's like someone has literally just put a heavy brick on me. That's my heaviest sleep. Yet other people, they have it, I don't know, maybe at 2 o'clock or midnight.
Or it's like actually playing white noise for you, like they do for a baby.
Exactly.
To sleep, yeah.
So if you ask me my day, I want to start my day after 8 o'clock because that's the day that I have set, right? If I have like commitments before that, like at work, we have meetings before 7. If I have, I know I have a meeting earlier, I would wake up, I would have to set an alarm. But for my body to wake up on its own, it can't. So I know, and I don't want any kind of disturbance. I actually put my phone in what I call it, bedtime mode.
Disturb mode. Well,
until like 8 o'clock. So you can't, unless I'm the one who looks at actually the phone and then respond. Anyway, so then between that time, I also try as much as possible to focus on me from 8 to 9 o'clock and the people around me. That's my children. Because I was telling you about, I'm in a season where I am very intentional about what I'm nurturing, what I'm doing with my children. And this season only happened because, first of all, it's COVID and so many changes in my life. But before that, when I was much younger as a junior associate, I didn't have these obligations. When I understood the obligation I had as a nurturer, I had to tweak my life to fit in this season where I've brought human beings in the world and I need to find time for them. So many things had to definitely to change on how I work, how I relate with my clients, also being very open with them. So from 9 o'clock, by 1 o'clock, I am done with everything I need to do with Mark. Yes.
In an hour?
No, from 9.
Oh,
okay.
9
my morning, from 9 a.m. Up to 1,
Okay.
I am done with everything that I need to do.
Wow.
Then after that, I can, it could be meetings, it could be anything else here. But from from my morning up to 1 o'clock, it's more of what is that I'm required to do. And I learned that there's a book actually I read. It's called The One Thing that taught me that it's just a schedule I've learned to do. Is I target every day. There are 3 things I must focus on. Just 3 things. If I do those, then my day is successful. If I don't, then I'm struggling. But remember, I'm telling you 3 things that I'm focusing on. But in a day, I could have like 20 things to do. But for me, I'm decided to focus on 3 things.
Priority.
Yes. So those 3 things, I just make sure that I am able to do them. I'm able to, the 3 things. But if I have like whatever assignments I have to do, or I know by 1 o'clock, I am done. Now, anything that comes in the afternoon is, like I've said, it's like would be a meeting I've scheduled or this, or like maybe there's an emergency I have to deal with here.
Okay.
Then 5 o'clock, I go back now to my children, 5 to 9. Then at 9, after 9 o'clock, I am able to now to work on what could be pending in my mailbox.
Beyond the 1 p.m.
Beyond the 1 p.m. Now I'm preparing my day for the next day.
Tomorrow.
Because I'm a nocturnal. So I work at night better. Because remember, at 9 o'clock, everyone is sleeping. Everyone now is going to, and now
no one is calling.
No one is
texting.
calling. So that is now working in my body and understanding my body language and working with what my body nature has presented with me is I work better at night. So after the children have gone to sleep, then I know from 9 o'clock, what is it that, so I look and say, okay, I need this, I need the other, my colleague did this, they've sent this, I need to review this. Then I have that time where it is quiet, or I'll go to bed early and then wake up at my weird hour, which is 3 to 5. I do everything I need to do. By morning, I don't have anything actually to do. It's just that I need now feedback from people that I either have sent emails to. So anyway, it's a very interesting timetable. But 90% of the time I work remotely, so I don't have the time to run back and forth from work every single day. So it means I have actually more time to actually nurture my children. Like I told you in the morning, I have that time which is special for them. They start school at 9. They also don't have a commute. They study within 5-minute walk from where I live, where we live. So my schedule, but it's a season. Later, when my children have grown, I could go back to I could try the 5 a.m. club. But my day is pretty much like that. That's how I would want my day to go. But as you know, especially living in Uganda, happen. Sometimes things change here and there.
So I've noticed a lot of intentionality with you, and because
I'm very intentional, by the way. That's why I'm saying by 1 o'clock I should be going.
Yes.
And the reason why actually for me 1 o'clock I learned is that I can't be working like the hours you're working. That's being inefficient. I have 20 years on my back. How can I be working long hours like you? Is that fair?
No, I hear you.
It's not.
It's definitely not fair.
But also there are other things. Like I've told you, I have a green thumb. I need to, take care of my plants. I need to do other things in life.
Bush baby.
There's so many things in life that are in me. You understand? And so some people actually have struggled. So like, oh my goodness, who are you as a person? And at first I was like, I'm not going to explain myself. I know who I am, but then I also realized, of course, when you read a lot, you find actually people who are like you. So when we go to school, we are told, go to school, study, become a doctor, die as a doctor. Everyone expects you to that. They struggle to say that. Now, if I really love photography, and then you're like, but you're a lawyer, but you're you into photography? You understand? People get confused, but they're like, I genuinely have.
I'm scared.
And scared. It scares people. So people, I like people in the creative world. They have what we call their pineal gland is very much more open actually than so many of us who are into the professional. The professional is a lot of routine. You do this, and that. You just follow. So I like people in the creative world because to them they see more. You understand? We have We have the eyes, but we see the world differently. My tapestry is completely different from someone else. Someone else, what I see in the world is completely different from someone else. So what I've learned is we have, human beings, we have so many gifts in us, so many. But because the world says, no, you studied medicine, that is how you should be defined until you die. And I'm saying, no, I have other gifts that I want to share with the world. So if you want me to just define myself as a lawyer, what should I do with the other gifts? I die with them in hiding? No. I decided, no, I can't. But also, I have now people who have who mentor me without indirectly. I'll tell you something. The green thumb I've just discovered. Guess who it really inspires me? David Beckham.
No way.
Exactly. Why David Beckham? I've never watched a match. I've never watched him play. He used to be, I don't know, with part of a club.
Yes.
What's
Man United.
Yes.
It's
I
a famous
don't
one.
watch football. I'm not into football. I'm not all the same. But then, because I'm into the green world, so I don't think even he's 50 yet. Or maybe mid 50.
He must be maybe
But
50.
then,
He's been around for a while.
Yeah,
yes.
he lives on a farm. He bought a farm a couple of years ago, and he's like rearing chicken, and he's into farm life.
And there
So
we are.
yeah, but he's so great at so many other things. So if you find him chasing around his chicken, why is it in our world we feel like no, you should be a footballer, you should be this, you should be. Why you shouldn't be thinking about breeding chicken? So in our world, I feel like we have been told there's a box here, you're a lawyer, that's enough. Please go serve the Lord as a lawyer, and that's it. Forget about other things. And I've decided to say no, because there are other things in me. And that's what I like about Cats as a law firm, is from a very young age, this is something they've created as a space. They say, what else is about you as Alice? So to me, at that time when I was young, I joined Rotary, and Rotary also opened up so many windows for me, right? But it's because the firm accepts that. Do you understand? It knows that there's more about Alice than just being a lawyer. What is it? Is it about photography? Is it about I don't know, video editing? Is it about I don't know,
Events?
Exactly. Like, what is it? You can't tell me, Patrick, that is it. Like, yeah, law is it, the alpha and the omega. No. That's very sad. That would be very, very sad. I think there's so much about you that you can actually bring out and thrive. And I feel like thriving in other spaces also helps you to thrive in as a lawyer. Yeah, when you don't sit on your gifts, then you actually, as I thrive. And the other thing is, my clients actually know this. I'm always very open about other things I do, or places things I'm involved in. And they love that, and they support me. We collaborate, we partner, we work together. I love that. And it's a beautiful space. Yeah, I can't be defined. I don't have one hat on my whatever.
Yeah, one single hat that you wear.
I have many. Hats. And depending on the space where you find me, because I also work with children. So when you find me with children in slums, are you going to say, Alice, you're a lawyer, why are you here? Why are you reading for children in slums? You should just go and represent them in court. And the reason I work with children in slums is that I want to avoid the injustice that actually they face in life. Instead of me finding them as juvenile, offenders, and representing them in court, I'm like, how can I improve their social life when they're still young, so that I don't have to present them in court? That's still justice. I'm providing a space for them so that they can thrive in the communities they're in, vulnerable communities, and they can be better human beings. I don't have to find them on the streets. I don't have to represent them in court. That is something actually that really, really used to bother me when I was in Law Society. We were running this legal aid project, and it's so big, right? So there's you get a lot of grants to represent the juvenile offenders. Every year, the numbers go up. The statistics pretty much don't change. And why? Because these people, you help them, get them off the streets, and then they get back. So there's a cycle. Now, I had to stand back and say, how do I break this cycle? so many things. Why do these kids end up on the streets? It's because something goes wrong in their homes. What is that goes wrong in their homes? Why do they run away from their homes? That's what I want to tackle. I want to tackle the cause, not the end. Going around the whole world looking for money and grants to support them, to help them get out of jail, is not something I enjoy to do. Because I'm not solving a problem. I'm just, dealing with the peak of the iceberg. But the ice down there is what I deal with. So when you find me working with children, why would you say that I'm not a lawyer? I don't know. But anyway, at my age now, I don't explain myself to anyone.
To anyone?
No. And like I've got people who inspire me, who are also, talented. They're in 2 different spaces. And globally, actually one of our senior partners, they pretty much also, they're also in 2 different spaces. But also on a global scale, I could give you an example. Elon Musk, right? He's now into Twitter and all these things, but he started out in PayPal. Like he's done rather so many other things. So anyone who's like, the guy is in SpaceX, he's now running Twitter.
Then cars and...
Exactly. So why do you think that it's normal for him to do that, but we lawyers, it's not normal? Anyway, so to me, I'll have to look outside and say, okay, who are the people out there who are, who I inspire me in this space? And I look up to them. Like I've said, David Beckham now, I like the fact that he lives on a farm and running around with chickens. He's a footballer. I've never watched him, seriously, because I don't watch football. I'm not a football fan. But then I got linked to him through a community, in the green world. So
interesting. So that's a lot of work. And I think one thing that we struggle with, given our dreams, is the work-life balance. So I'd want to know, is there a correct formula? And I know correct may be too sharp or too steep, but is there some sort of formula, after work that can enable someone to be able to refocus and be sharp and professional the next day?
To balance?
Yes,
after work. What do you mean, after work? Or after you're done with your day?
Yes, after work routine.
At first I thought it's possible, but I don't think it is. There's a book I read again. I don't know if it's that same book, one thing or another one for Steve Covey, but I feel at first that's what I was trying to achieve. You're a lawyer, then you're this, then you're a mother, you're a wife.
In a particular order.
Until I realized it's actually not achievable to get that balance. So what I do is extremes. So meaning if I'm working, I don't know, it must be actually that book, because for me it really opened up my life in many areas. That book, The One Thing, it helps you to focus on one thing at a time. So right now, like for example, even though we're not in this kind of space, if I decide to give you time, Patrick, I want to focus on you and it's your time. So meaning my children are not going to be here running around because I want to be a mother, I'm trying to balance things. No, what I do now, I focus. If I have, I'm working on a particular transaction or working with the client, I want to give that client time, that focus on them, and then move on to something else. If it's time with my husband, it's time with my husband, and then I move on to something else, which means that there's a danger to it. So there could be an emergency somewhere else. So it teaches you you highly focus on the priorities. You understand, on what you think is a priority in day, week, or month. Where some other things could suffer, but of course some people are good at multitasking, others are just not. I guess you just have to learn
who you are
to learn. But in terms of getting a perfect balance, I think it's difficult. So for me, when I'm with my children, I'm with my children. I don't want, this is something I usually do like over the weekends. I don't engage. I've tried to be off social media because I'm trying to teach my children certain things at this particular, it's a season of life, right? And yeah, so I'm like, this is a time, it's my responsibility that I brought these children into the world. So what I want to teach them also involves me not being heavily involved in social media. But also for my health, for my mental health and space. That's the main reason I chose. So when I'm with my children, it's my children. When I'm with my friends, it's time I've chosen as like, I'm going out with my friends, it's my friend. So for me, there's nothing like a perfect balance. I think that's, some people maybe attain it, to me, no. It's not, yeah.
Okay. So you do so many things, but like, like we now know, or we've known for a while, you are a lawyer. And someone once told me that the law shouldn't be the one thing that closes doors. It should open doors. And I'm sure that's a story I told you about when I was at a crossroads. We had some of those difficult conversations. And yeah, one of the people actually reached out to told me that the law should open doors. So are there certain doors for you that have been opened?
Because of law?
Yes, because you were a lawyer.
Of course. Many.
Okay.
So you'll be very surprised. People, the ordinary average citizen or person,
yes,
people have a very weird relationship with lawyers, generally. Yeah, like, you're a lawyer, like, what is... And I think because they've had bad experiences with their lawyers, or they've had other people with bad experiences. But I feel that lawyers, the kind of work we do in society, you understand, if you're doing good, it goes out there and people are happy to share your contact with other people, because you've done something, to help them to maneuver, through like a very tight space, or they were, they had been cornered into this, or they were losing their business, and you helped them. Yeah, so people are always willing to open doors for you because of that. And the other thing is, as the more people you work with, the more highly actually connected they are. As you of course you grow in the profession, so you meet people from all walks of life. So which means that any space you want to be in, it's so easy to have a contact. And because you've worked with them over the years, they're willing to also help you. That's how I look at it. The kind of practice that I do, it's usually, I like mutual relationships. I like whereby, how can I help you as a client so that you can also help me grow? You understand? So it's I look at it as a two-way traffic. I don't like being in with a client who is maybe disrespectful. You understand? You're asking about disrespect earlier. I could get into that after. So because of that mutuality, that's something I thrive towards. I'm like, how can I help you grow? That's genuinely. And in fact, that's also one of the things that has helped me with business development is when you come into my office or reach out to me, I get to know your story. I like to hear I like human stories. I like to know what has made you. I like to learn from you. And I've learned actually so much from my clients. All the my entrepreneurial world has been enhanced by the people I meet through clients. You learn from them, you understand the kind of challenges they've faced, but also their personal lives. I like their personal stories. So I say, okay, Patrick, someone has referred me to you. Then this is the work I do. After that, I get to know your personal story. Through your personal story, I'm like, how can I help you as Patrick? And through that, I'm able to then to connect with my clients at a completely different level. There's of course the work, but at the same time, knowing your personal story, then I'm able to help you with your personal, your personal capacity with different things. Because if I meet you as an MD of a bank, there's a story behind you, Patrick. You're the MD, but there's a story. You could need a recommendation for a school, a good school for your children. It could be you could need something to help with your wife. It could be, with your parents. So that kind of thing helps you to nurture relationships with clients. And clients, people like to work with people they know. They share values, or people they relate to well. So over the years, I feel you nurture relationships, and those relationships end up opening doors for you in any industry. I'm thinking of which industry don't we work as lawyers? You work in everything, especially in a firm. I can imagine if you're an in-house lawyer, maybe it might be different, but in a firm, you meet so many people from all walks of life, and their stories usually. I like to know the person behind the person who is behind.
Who is in front of you?
He is in front of me, and that connection usually escalates and opens so many doors. Yeah.
All right. So just taking us a bit back to our topic and angling in directly, we want to grow. Like I said, not today, not tomorrow, but yesterday. So is there a textbook, and I'm calling it textbook for a particular reason, time frame set, that someone should wait and be patient and know that, at least after these years, they should consider me, at least junior partners, associate partner, something. I should be somewhere. So is there a time frame, from your experience and those that maybe you've seen rising right through the ranks, when you're already up there, that you think is ideal for someone to take on that role?
There are two questions in there, and why am I going to split them? The first thing is that you said you want to grow yesterday, right?
Yes.
Growth. What is growth? What is success? My definition of success before I became a partner was I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow as a human being. So being a partner was not something that I sat down and said, this is something I have to within like 2 or 3 years. It just came because of the work I was doing, you understand, and I guess the value I was adding to the firm. And my focus was not, I need to be a partner in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. And I think to me, it was more of defining what is success, what is growth, what did I want. So when the other thing is, are you more interested in a title? I'm not a person of titles. No, I'm not. Because all the work that I do genuinely, if I put down for you everything that I do, the first thing you'd say, are you an MP? I'm not an MP. I don't need to be an MP to do community work. I'm not need to be an MP to run a community health center. I don't need to be an MP to run all the projects that I do in the community. Do I? No. But some people want that title to do the work they want to do. So to bring it back in a law firm, what do you want out of your practice? Do you think that title is going to change the way you practice? Of course, there could be financial benefits. That's one of it, right? Yes. But then what? Then what? Do you understand?
Yes. So
the question is that what's your definition of success? What do you see in? I feel like partner is like, there's a ceiling to it, right? Beyond that, what is it? Okay, then if you get a title, there's so many things you can do as a human being without a title. You know that. Right now, what you're doing, long time ago, when we were in school, it could only be a partner to do what you're doing but then you decided to say, you know what, I don't need this title to do this. Because you understand, like, I know the things you're doing. There's no, you understand. Of course, you could have a title over it, the chairperson of this and that. But I feel that the titles are very small to who we are as human beings and our capacity. So I don't want young people to say, this is it. I feel like you're creating a ceiling for you. Because beyond that, then what? There's more to you. What do you want out of law? Patrick, what do you want out of law? Do you think that if you get to partner, that will be it? Like, that's it? Is that what you want out of law? Like, being a partner is the alpha and the omega?
Definitely not. At least not for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just a title, right? For me, I just looked at it. It was like a bonus, you understand, to everything that I was doing in the law firm and my life. Because I'm the type of person, I just don't want to be defined by titles. That is just naturally me. And because I define, I know so many partners in different law firms. Do they define success for me? No, of course not. So tomorrow, Patrick, you start a law firm. And then you're like a partner in that firm. So then I start running to you and I'm like, oh my goodness, my life. No, you're not living my life. That's not that is your success. It's not my success. So what I would tell a young person is, what do you want out of law? Law is a platform for you to do a million things. And this is actually something I remember my father is telling me, is that it's like a pedestal. You understand? It's like a place where you can get a lot of like capital. It could be social capital. It could be, of course, the networks you grow. Those networks help you in other spaces. The money you make there, and you can also use it to invest in other spaces, right? Do you see, like, it can be a platform for you to do other things. But you can't just aim and say, now I'm a partner, and that's it. Because when you get there, then what? For me, those are questions I've maybe because I question life
a lot. Yes.
Yeah,
that should do.
So I'm just thinking, it can't be. You can't tell me that is the Alpha and the Omega. Really? Do you know how many people who carry that title in the legal profession? I think so many people, because I can wake up, I've left law school, 2 years later I can set up a law firm, then I'm a partner, and then what? But so does that mean that I've achieved everything I've ever wanted in legal practice? No. If you ask me, you want what? Success yesterday, right? You have to understand the life. Life is very interesting. Think of a human being. You give birth to a child. That child has stages, there are stages of development. And just like everything, there can be outliers. There can be outliers in life. You can find a 10-year-old who is like the best violinist in the world. You can find a 16-year-old who is able to do like a chess genius. Those are outliers. But there's a growth, there's a curve, you understand, which is it's a natural path, you understand. You do things in what do you call it, in steps. You follow certain steps.
It's progressive.
Yeah, it's progressive. So would you like progressive growth, or you would want growth which is kind of it's not stunted growth, but it's like it misses some things, right? Like I think it all depends. I was seriously taught by my father that it's important to build. If you're building a house, you build brick by brick. You just don't wake up and there's a bub of a house, right? So what is brick by brick? And also make sure that the foundation is strong. Because if the foundation is not strong, then soon there will be no house, right? So that's my way of life. Like, it's brick by brick. All the bricks that I've accumulated for the last 19 years are helping me, you understand, are making my life much easier now, right? I could have taken shortcuts. I'm sure the shortcuts were there. But as a human being, do you want to thrive in shortcuts? It's also possible. You can thrive in shortcuts. That's fine. And if it backfires, you have also to, when you lay your bed, you have to sleep in it, right?
Sleep in it, yes.
So then don't go around screaming consequences, right? So I also like to, when I work with young people, to tell them that all actions, there are consequences to actions, right? So you have to be ready for the consequences that come with shortcuts. But the most important thing is self-reflection. What do I want? What's the definition of legal practice for me? What's the success? What's my definition of success? if you ask me my definition of success, I feel it might be disappointing to someone else. For me, what I wanted was, my definition of success is having inner peace in everything that I do. Do you understand? Am I peaceful with whatever I'm doing, the clients I'm representing, the work I'm doing, all that? Some people, they are okay not to have sleepless nights because of the work they are doing. I want that inner peace, right? So I guess we are different. But I don't think there's any magic to the title, partner.
So speaking of success, I want to...
Just like there's no magic to the title. Like if imagine you're a minister, that's just a title. Tomorrow it could just go away, right?
It could be someone else.
Yeah, I am a leader without title. Actually, that's I love to lead without titles. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just going back to to success. So speaking of success, the profession that we are part of is quite prestigious, and that goes with a price tag. It's quite expensive. Is there a time during the journey where you felt the pressure to do more, to create the right image?
The image.
Yes, because I mean, there are standards. I haven't been out of law school that much, but you hear a lot different policies from different places. So they tell you, this is the particular brand of vehicle that lawyer should buy. The suit should be this way. The shoe should be this way. The perfume should, leave. Someone should know that you've actually gone through that corridor. So, so there's a standard. Did you ever feel the pressure to be somewhere?
No. And genuinely, why? Because it goes down to my personality. So I'm a person who does not, external validation doesn't work for me. If you walked in here, Patrick, and told me that you're the ugliest woman, or you're the you've said I've not dressed well, that's you. Like external validation has not worked for me from the time I was a child. And we are different people. I'm not a groupie. I'm a lone wolf. I can literally do things by myself, and I'm happy as a human being. So I never had that pressure. I'm not a groupie at all, but that's from childhood. I have friends. I can have a few people, but you can't find me that now I belong to this group. I'm not that type of person. So because of my personality, it has always been that, what am I content with? What am I content with? And about the cars, maybe because I'm a female, I find most female lawyers are not really into, I mean, of course some definitely, they like that hype, but I feel when it comes like to cars, for me, I just want a mobile, something that can move me from point A to B, right? It has to be clean. I like it when it's clean, neat. That's, well, whether it's a, I don't know, big, huge hammer or whatever, I think it can look good, but to me, it gives me no satisfaction, like, I don't relate at all, but that's cars. There are other things that genuinely, I'm like also gadgets, right? Some people love gadgets. I don't. Can I receive calls? Can I be able to send my emails or whatever? But some people just, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's this S that I don't relate at all. So you see, that is just me now. Patrick, you're asking the wrong question to the wrong person. So I never, fell into those kind of pressures of who I am. And because I'm genuinely, I am content. I find my contentment is it's within me. You, whether you think I'm smart or not, that's your opinion, right? Yeah. Personally, I feel I'm very smart.
So one,
so,
even
and I like your watch. If you asked me, if I wouldn't go out of my way to buy a watch of, like, I don't know, $10,000 or $5,000. No, because I want the time. That's the most important thing, is that, and
how it looks, and
how it looks. But you see, that is just me about external things. But there are other things that I genuinely like to spend. I like to spend money on experiences. That's me. So I could spend all the money in the world, on an experience, and that gives me inner joy, content. Like, I can't even explain it. I just feel like I have grown. I have gotten like another lease to 10 years lease. Every time I experience something, it could be an experience of just me going and climbing Nakapiripiri mountain, whatever mountain there is in the world, right? So we are different human beings. So asking me that from a very young age, I've never, external validation doesn't work for me. It justifies the life I'm leading right now out there in the countryside. Yeah. Isn't it? Doesn't it really? Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it does.
Yeah.
So fortunate enough for you, you now know where you are. But for a great number of us, young lawyers, it is, it's extremely important. And maybe that's why I'm actually asking the question, how do we pursue content? So just to take our viewers back, I think you remember the last time we had the category, and the category literally had to ask me. He told me, you know the car that I drive, and I had to mention it, and I thought this is something he would know. Off the tips of his fingers, he moves in this vehicle every single day. So now, both of you have been in practice for a very long time, and there's this contentment within. There's no pressure. There's not much of a fuss to make it happen. And then there's us. Loans are coming in. Yes, money lenders are coming in. We're leaving credit to credit. We're actually lucky that credit cards are not a thing here
in Uganda.
Because God, I can imagine. So how do you get there? Because I know you and him have been around for a while. You've experienced life in a different way. But I know if we can perhaps get a bit content right now, we could survive so much. I mean, a lot happens out there.
So how do you, that's a very good question that you've asked. You've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
I feel, when you've just left school, our needs are completely different. My needs are completely different from someone who has just left school. My level of contentment is very different because I've also seen things come and go. Do you understand? So very few things end up perturbing you. And also you get in a space whereby you've created boundaries and you've learned boundaries. You know exactly what you want in life. It comes with age. I don't think there's a shortcut to it. That comes with age because you have different needs. You start with basic needs. I want shelter, I want food. Now, I'm not looking for shelter, I'm not looking for food. So my level of contentment is completely different. But at the same time, some people can leave university and they're also not looking for shelter and food. Clearly, when I was out of university, shelter and food were not my needs.
Yeah, sure, yes.
But to me, it was it's a combination of your character, but also what do you seek in life. I'm a seeker of inner happiness and inner joy. It has to be within me. Like no one outside. It can be my reverend, it can be my bishop, it can be a pastor I know in the village to tell me what I want to do. But I feel now talking about what the Katikilo's experience is it's an issue. It's life. You understand? Time. You see things, they move you in that moment, and then actually they disappear in thin air. People come and go. People who think they are bigger than life come, and then suddenly there's nothing. So I think because you see things, and you're like, you know what? Okay, if I get, then the people who are into cars, you get a car. People always say that after 6 months, it's a car. It's no longer I don't know the models. It's no longer the model which you.
It's no longer the autobiography, the Evoque.
It's a car after the 6 months, maybe a year if you stretch it for a year. If you hold a phone, it's like, oh my God, this is the newest phone. Maximum 1 year later, you're like, I'm holding a phone. I don't know what your phone you're holding, but do you know what phone I'm holding? You understand? Does it even bother you that I'm holding? Would it bother you that what kind of phone? For you, you're happy with your phone, right? But later, is someone, maybe their phones, of course, someone can know that I'm carrying an iPhone, this and that. But then there are us human beings who are like, I don't care what phone you're holding. Are you able to answer my calls and receive? That's all that I'm interested in, right? And I think we are all different. What we want from life is completely different. You might be someone who loves your cars. That's fine. But those cars shouldn't put you in trouble because you should just be careful as a human being. Try to be intentional. That when you get a car, when you buy so many suits, then what? That's a question I usually ask myself. So ask yourself at the end of the day, then what? But and isn't there something more beyond cars? I think that was something that used to drive me. I do remember if I would go to like my bonus as a young lawyer, the first thing I would think, I was like, oh my goodness, what is the next trip I can take? And then immediately I would go to the travel agent and I would end up like in Egypt by myself. I guess someone else would be like, I'm buying another car. But then I love the whole idea of, traveling and taking a cruise on the Nile and discovering different places along the Nile, all the way from Aswan to Alexandria. That was enough. That was a car for me. Someone else would think you're mad, you're stupid, you're crazy. And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. But a car maybe helps you, but it does not. So in life, understand what you want out of life. Okay, lastly, what I can say about these things, these are liabilities. What I've learned in life, it's a liability. So would I want more liabilities in my life, or I would want where would I want to focus my money, on liabilities or on investment? From law school, I've always done something, you understand? I've always been part of some kind of business, doing some business, collaborating here and here with people, different people. And that's where I've always put my money, in some business, investing here, buying shares. That has always just been me. And I've not accumulated cars, actually. I've had the same car for I don't know how long, but it's just not me. But and maybe you could say, was it nurturing from school? That's what I was telling you earlier. Why is it that I was lucky to have been exposed to a life where I was encouraged. The people who were mentoring me encouraged me to invest more in these kind of spaces, or to get into more liabilities. I've always looked at it like it's a liability, and it doesn't add much, value. I like to be very strategic with my money and say, okay, I would rather have all this money, either put it in some investment or nourish my soul. I like to nourish my soul, not to nourish my physical body. My physical body meaning, of course, there could be the health aspect to it and, physical exercise and all these things. But for me, I feel like if my soul is nourished, then the rest take care of themselves.
All right. I want to get a little bit into your area of specialty, your practice area. You're really passionate about tech and the law and AI and all of that. But with it, okay, we agreed that it's not an emerging field anymore. It's here and it's present. 10, 15 years from now, let's say 20 years from now, do you foresee or don't you foresee us not being able to work? I mean, recently you saw the scuffle on X and sometimes Facebook, young lawyers and etc. And then there was a post, I think, from a lawyer. She at LDC, I think, I don't know if the name is Namanya, and she brought in the Who Moved My Cheese principle, saying maybe that's why we should focus how many people and how many things are slowly, narrowing the curve. Isn't there a chance that 10, 15 years from now, we may not be able to practice law because we've been replaced by technology and AI?
The threat, in the last 10 years, people have been afraid of AI and robotics replacing lawyers. Surprisingly, that's not the threat. The biggest threat is lawyers who are not willing to adopt. Because the tech tool, all these AI tools are already on the market, they're available. You can access them. Many of them are free. Of course, if you want to get better quality service, you pay. Most of them are, you pay a few dollars per month or per week. The threat is actually not the technology.
It's not outside.
The threat is you refusing or failing to adapt to using the technology. I can give you a very simple. I told you I work by 1 o'clock. I am done with what I am required to do that day. How is that possible? Because I use all the tech tools that are available to a lawyer. The simplest is, if you wanted my signature, like you've done something, do you think I have to come to you? I don't have to come to you. So imagine if I had to move up and down to just, getting my signature done. I use e-signatures, right? I scan documents. I could be anywhere in the world and I scan you the document you want. The other option could be, Patrick, wait for me. I'll come back in 2 days or 2 weeks and give you the document. First of all, that client is no longer, those clients are slowly phasing out. The clients who are willing to wait for you in 2 days to come and deliver something. So me, who is able, like for example, if you need something from a file, your file or something which is in my office, if I'm out of the country and then I say like, sorry, Patrick, I'm out of the country, in like maybe a week's time, I'll get it to you. Now me, who has a scanner, you can pay for it, right? I can convert my documents into PDF or whatever format. I've paid for PDF. I have a PDF version paid up. I scan this document quickly, or I ask one of my assistants to send me the document. They scan it. I send it to you. Who are you going to give instructions? The lawyer who is going to get back to you in 2 weeks? Of course not. It's me who is able to get you things within record time. And those, like I said, that clientele, because it's phasing out, there's also the new client who are using very advanced technology that they would not understand how you can tell them in 2 days, I'll be in my office and then I'll look through the files and send you the document. They will think, what planet are you on? And it's because you've refused to use these technologies. The technologies are there. Now, if you refuse to adapt, the threat is now us, the lawyers who are using technology. We are your threat. No one else. It's not because I feel like the technology, you still need the human being behind that technology, right? To service you as a lawyer. So that the whole concept of course, the legal profession is going to change of how we practice and how we deliver legal services. The question is that, are you able to deliver legal services in the next 10 years? Will you be able to understand, will those clients, will they be able to understand the way you deliver legal services? I think that's the threat. It's not the technology. It's the fact that you just genuinely refuse to understand the technology and to adopt it and to use it. Then, slowly, you'll be out of market. Yeah, because right now, if it doesn't have to actually be a lawyer, let it be anyone. Let it be, I use online medical services, right? So which means that I call a hospital. When did it happen to me? I get very, very irritated now when I go into a hospital and I have to go through hours of bring this, bring the other, do this and that. Right now, you can go online and actually book an appointment with a doctor anywhere in the world, depending on what medical plan you're on. Now, if you find a doctor in Uganda, they tell you, oh, sorry, we can't scan these results, or we can't do this and that. But I'm like, I am the patient. I am maybe before when I come into a hospital, you make me sign something so that you can send me my results. Why do I have to come to you? So that I feel like even the hospitals that have adapted to the technology available are the ones that are going to thrive. And I don't think it's only a threat to lawyers, all industries. So what would I tell young lawyers? Please adapt. Please use the technologies that are available so that you can be able to deliver services to your enhanced, to provide enhanced legal services. And this I'm not telling you pay a lot of money. Of course, whatever is available on the market, it depends on how much you pay. But there are also so many free versions of these technologies. So please don't be worried that robots are coming. They are there already, by the way.
Yes.
They're already there. Yeah. The issue is you not actually taking
adapting and using them.
Using the technologies. Yeah.
Well, so the next question takes us back to an aspect that you hinted on when we're starting, which is standing out. So you've been deliberate and you've been very keen on standing out. And I wanted to know, because sometimes the boundaries sometimes are blurred because of people or our bosses trying to be as flexible, as welcoming, and giving room for learning. So as someone who has been in leadership for a while, where for a young lawyer would you draw the line between, being objectively or objectively challenging authority to being outrightly disrespectful, yes, to someone?
That's a very interesting question. Why would I say that? How would you know that you're disrespectful? And how can you actually avoid being disrespectful? Whenever you're in a space, understand the culture of the space you're in. What is respect in that culture? What is disrespect in that culture? What is respect in that office? What is disrespect in that office? So in our culture here, we are nurtured to be very polite humans. So from childhood, you can't do this, you can't do the other, you can't do what, you can't stand like this, you can't sit like that, you can't. Actually, in other spaces when I work with people or employed people, one of the things that has clearly come out is that most of the graduates, by the time we finish school, we are crippled graduates because of the way we've been raised. Our cultures are very
restrictive.
Yeah, very restrictive. In a typical African homestead, you think of a young person. When you go to sleep, when you're taking a nap, the first thing the African mother, they say, why are you sleeping? So you want to be lazy, right? Okay. Then you're like, okay, let me just walk around and why are you walking around?
Like you have nothing to do.
Okay, let me go and visit actually a neighbor. Where are you from? So you're the one going around the neighborhood, just loitering around. Okay, now let me sit down. Let me just sit down. You just maybe could be thinking, why are you, like, what is the right? When you stand, you're in the wrong. When you sit, you're in the wrong. When you're taking a nap, you're in the wrong. When you go to see the neighbor, you're in the wrong. So you end up like your wings are clipped so many times. By the time you finish, you're an adult, you're crippled, you're an adult, you're graduated, but you're so scared of the world. You have a lot of phobia for many things because these are things that have been passed on to you. But also our parents, you can't blame much. That's the hand that has been also dealt with them. Like we have to be very careful and very cautious and all that. Now that kind of culture actually affects us, has a same impact in our workspaces, everywhere we go. You have to humble yourself and be this and this. Now we end up confusing respect and fear because of how we've been raised, right? You can't say the right thing because this person is older than you. You can't express yourself, fully express yourself because this person is an elder, or even when they're in the wrong, you can't say much. Now, when you go in a space and know, okay, this is the space I'm in, and know what is supposed to, what the people, especially the senior people in that space, what they define as respectful, learn that just to survive and thrive. I can give you a very simple example. If you go in a Western world, whether you're my senior, you could be 20 years older than me, or 30 or 40, I can call you Patrick, right? Go in any, even like a small kiosk, and call the owner of the kiosk, and you, as in you're working there, and call them Patrick. They'll be like, what did you just say? Do you understand?
I beg your pardon.
Exactly. They wouldn't even respond to you. They would think that you're crazy and all these things. They'll call you all sorts of names and everything. But like I've told you, just pick a plane here and go to Sweden, or especially these Nordic countries. you'll find their prime minister, their ministers, you're calling them by their first names. And it's not disrespectful. So you might go there and you find their ministers and they're calling them honorable. They're not even interested. They're looking at you like, are you okay? Why are you? In fact, for them, if you behave like that, they think that you're hiding something. They think there's something wrong. So what I'm trying to say is that learn the culture of the place where you are so that you can be able to thrive. If you don't do that, then you're going to find yourself in a space whereby you're struggling to fit. Because everything you're going to do is going to be called, to be regarded as what? Disrespectful. So many young people, they have all this energy. We've just finished school. We can do this. We are, But then the environment where you are actually does not permit, is not
enabling.
Yeah. But then at the same time, you need to thrive. You need to learn. You need to be trained. You need to understand. So I guess if you feel like it's not a fit for you, then the best thing is just to go. So I don't think of course there's being courteous. There's being courteous. You have to greet people. You have to be, you understand, don't stab, throw things in people's faces. That is being respectful. That is like a global code, courtesy. But what is respect? Trust me. It all depends on some offices here. People are like, you just walk in and everyone just says good morning. Or you go in for a meeting and they're very informal. Other places, they're very, very formal. So I think what I could advise a young person, learn the environment you're in. What is the definition of respect? How do they define respect? Who are these people? What do they find offensive and what don't they find offensive? And then the rest will be, that is also one of the things about young people, about soft skills, learning the environment you're in. If you don't understand that environment you're in, then you're actually going to, how can I explain it? You'll be overwhelmed. Learn the environment you're in. If it doesn't work for you, then quit. If it works for you, well and good.
Well, I guess quit if you actually have the luxury to quit.
If you don't have the luxury to quit, then I'm sorry, because people put up their spaces when people wake up to they make a lot of sacrifices to put up spaces for you to work, right? So, and then they create a culture in there. Of course, as long as it's not inhuman, it's not, people are not going to throw food at you.
It's not toxic like we call it.
But you should know what is acceptable to your body, to your soul. You understand what is good for your soul. If it's not, for me, one of the things I like about my work is that of course, I'm not as close to the younger ones as much as to the people, the lawyers who have been there for much longer, is the genuine friendliness, like friendly culture. You understand? Where you go to work and you're like, I have buddies, I have like friends, you understand, people you can share anything, you can laugh, you understand, you have a history with them, and they make life much easier. You understand, a friendly environment. It's not toxic. We have an open door policy. You can just walk into anyone's office. People are not afraid of so and so. I've heard of toxic environments in there was some financial institution whereby you can't even leave your mug. You can't leave your drink on your table and go out and come back and drink it. I'm like, really? If I was in a space like that, I would definitely leave. But I think it's also important to work in a space where you're happy. By the way, if you're not happy, how can you do your work? If you understand, the people around you help. I think so. Don't you think so?
No,
like
I agree.
If I
agree.
I like a good laugh. I like to. So if I'm working in a place where people are very, very like toxic, then it's
and you
difficult.
need to be on the edge all the time.
Yeah, to be on the edge, but also where you don't feel good as a human being. I feel maybe these are now my when we're talking about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I want a space which makes me feel like more relaxed and happy. Like I go to a place and I'm like, I like the culture. Like I like the spirit actually. Yeah, like, no? Then you do your work. But when you come in and you're angry. This one is angry with you. The other one is angry with you. How do you do your work? I think, anyway, I don't know. But my needs right now definitely are completely different. That's my needs are completely different. But as a young person, you need to self-assess yourself and say, okay, this place maybe is not good for me. In 3 years, I should leave. Yeah. Give yourself time. Learn and go if it doesn't work for you. But also, guess what? Next door is not going to work for you. That's what I've also learned. My philosophy is the grass is never green
on
elsewhere.
the other side. Okay. So we are actually coming to the tail end of this, but there's a question that I feel is pertinent that we can't go without asking you. Yes, no need to worry. You supervise, given your position, you supervise a huge chunk of young people. So I'd want to know, are there some challenges you've encountered working with young people professionally at the workplace?
Yes.
And I know as you give us those, this could be lessons that we can learn from to make ourselves better so that we can be more efficient.
Yeah. It's good you've asked that question. And I'm sure the young people in my are like, oh my God, why did you ask that question? Yes, definitely. And I feel like the challenge is whatever is going on in the world. And the challenge is actually, it's just not Uganda. It's a global, when I talk to partners across the globe, it's the same challenges, the same things working with the young generation. And I feel there are many reasons, there are all these, what they call the theories, why we're having more challenges now working with younger people, your generation. And it's because you're the first generation which have just realized that so there's a generation as trained by baby boomers, right? People who were born after the World War. So to them, their psychology was like, wake up, go work like a horse. It doesn't matter. Whatever that, you understand, whether your children, they need time with you or not, whether, your wife is happy or not, whether, just go work. As long as you're able to provide, you must be able to. You understand? So they trained us and they said, you know what, it's important to be responsible as at work and do what you're supposed to do within a specific time. It's important. Please. The work ethics was completely different now. But you're forgetting that time, so many things were happening in the world. You understand? Like people had suffered, they had just come out of war. There's so many like what do you call it?
Traumas?
Diseases, people like people dying, left, right, and center. So you're working in a space whereby I think there's very little you have to to work so much to get food on your table.
Yeah.
Now, if you have, especially if you have money, you can order online and get your meal. Things have been made much easier. So we are dealing in a completely different environment. But also your generation, you're questioning, why do I have to do things? We're in a generation where you've been told, you've been trained to do certain things, do them well, do them right, and complete your, whether you burn out, whether you die on your table, on your desk, please just put in the time. You guys are questioning and saying, is it worth it for me to just have a heart attack on my table and die on my desk? Now, because of that questioning, and also the environment definitely you're in, everything is very available. And you also have the time to sit down and think through you've been given a chance to understand the pains, things you've gone through in life. I feel like the older generations, it was more of go, 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 go. You don't have to sit down and even think through all these things. So because of that, and of course the technology you're dealing with, you're overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed with what to do, with what is in the world. And you have been born in that space. So because you've been born in that space, and that is your reality, our realities are different. And it's easy for me actually to to wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I can be off social media and I can thrive. Now you guys struggle with that, right? Why would you struggle? If for me it's a decision of like, this is not healthy for me, let me know. But it's because it's your world. You've been born in a virtual world. Anyway, so because our needs and priorities are completely different because of the environment we are in right now, you understand? It's not as hard as someone, especially who has gone to school. The way the environment our people who trained us, that the environment they grew in was completely different. Now, so the question is that who is right, who is wrong? Are you the right ones, or is the older generation the right one? I don't think it's even a simple answer. Yes, this is right or not. It's an issue of finding a middle ground. The question is that if your philosophy of how you view the world, what is meaningful in life, is completely different from mine, then definitely we are going to clash. Now the question is that how do we find a balance? How do you, not even balance, but how do we understand actually each other? Because for me, the challenges is it could be deadlines, you understand? Because this is something you have been drilled in you, that a deadline is a deadline, right? To someone else, it could be like, well, sorry, the deadline was Friday. Yeah, it could be in 2 weeks. And you're thinking, what? So to me, it's like, it's a deadline. And I've committed to it. Committing to a deadline is extremely important. Now, to someone younger, it could be, yeah, but maybe other things came up. Do you understand?
Yes.
But why? Why? Then, okay, if other things came up while you committed to a deadline, can you please inform everyone? No. In your world, you're like, the fact that I've not met the deadline, Alice will understand that other things came up. No. Can you communicate? But anyway, I feel like we can find a middle ground because, like I said, we are operating in a completely different environment right now. What used to jack us into doing things is completely, to you guys, it's unnecessary. I've talked to different partners around the world, and their challenge also is the younger associates are not interested in the carrots that law firms give out. They're not interested in them. Do you understand? You know that like carrot and stick? They're like, that's what you want me to, I'm not interested in it. I just want my peace of mind. So yet the firm structure, those are the benefits they have. And you don't want them. If
that's
you don't
the culture.
Want them, that's a culture. If you don't want the benefits, now I can imagine law firms are struggling, and I've said it's worldwide. So what is the next carrot? The younger people want a completely different benefits. Law firms are handing out different benefits. But it's not even only law firms. Like I've said, financial institutions, because it's an issue of, and I feel like the generations, or maybe technology, widen the gap. So they widen the gap between the different generations. Yet before, people used to, we used to develop, step by step. But suddenly, you guys went off, and then we stayed here. Now the question is, we're trying to peep into each other's worlds. I feel there has to be, because you're a new workforce, right? Anyway, but it's people are, there's a challenge. So, and it's no secret, and it's not a Ugandan issue. It's a global issue. Yeah. So don't beat yourself up that it's a Ugandan issue, no?
That we're not doing well. So thank you so much, Alice. One, we're extremely sorry we overshot a bit, but as we conclude, I think over 15 years now of legal practice. We started legal practice October 2004, so it's 2024. I'm making 20 years. 20 years, excellent. Where do you see yourself?
October. In the next 10 years?
No, post-practice, if at all there's that for you, yes. We can start with the next 10 years then.
10 years.
Post-practice, if there's that for you.
Where do I see myself?
Yes, after practice.
After practice? After practice, actually I have so many hats.
So you really are?
I could be in a green thumb world, I could be in the green world, I feel like I'm not limited to what I have a lot of potential to do different
Is
things.
the bench in there somewhere?
Bench?
The bench.
Unless things change in Uganda. Right now, I don't enjoy work. If it's not even just the bench, but if I had, I don't know, like I just feel it wouldn't be as a space for me right now. If things change and I guess we have better governance in the country, maybe, but right now I don't really enjoy. I don't
see yourself there.
I don't. But also my character type is I like to create. I like to create things. I feel like being a judge, you're put in a box and placed there, dressed well. What they call it?
Proper.
The gowns and whatever. Not appealing to me now. When I'm maybe 60 or 70, we can discuss that. They'll be sending me in a retirement home, right?
Okay.
There's what's the retirement age? Like 60, 65?
I think for judges it's 70.
Well, if legal practice changes and people start looking at judges differently and start people actually understanding that judges also have gifts and they can do different things, maybe. But right now,
it's
really?
It's too smaller.
No, they would literally just evict me out of the offices because they would be like, what is she up to?
All right. So I asked our viewers to send through a few questions, and some came in and were answered along the way. So I'll just hint on some of those that weren't, or that I think we need a sort of precise and on the note answer for. So one of them is, what are some of your biggest challenges you faced as you advanced through the ranks, and how did you overcome them?
Someone asked me this question last week. My challenges. What were my challenges? I have this weakness with my personality again, is when I experience something, I don't dwell on it. I don't focus on it. And it could be a bad experience. So it's my strength and also weakness. I don't have a photographic memory. So I tend to easily forget experiences and move on. So, but I also know I have a friend who she remembers with great detail what happened to her in primary 3, like who annoyed her, and I'm like,
what they said.
So I'm not that type of person. So when it comes to challenges, just like any human being, I have experienced. Some people have asked me, haven't you experienced challenges as a female? Yes, the challenges as a female was for me was what they call it, understanding. At first, when you're in law school, we were mentored by mainly men. I mean, those were the people you would see in legal practice. So the energies and the vibe you come with in legal practice is very masculine. But then after a couple of years, when I had children, my feminine energy came. I had to understand that my feminine energy and practicing law as a female. And also that got me into research, because I was used to work with a committee in IBA, in the International Bar Association. And the question was, why is it that many female lawyers leave? So we start out, there's so many women lawyers, female lawyers in law school, right? But then 5 years later, they've all disappeared. Many of them have disappeared, right? And again, this was IBA, so it's not a Ugandan problem. It's a global problem that many women lawyers leave legal practice. Why? So to me, my experience was that you leave, when you start out, you have, because most of the role models, especially in my case, were mainly men. That's the energy you get. So you practice law as like, okay, yes, I'm supposed to do this and this and that. I hit a wall, because when you give birth, for me it was that whole thing of like, I don't know if it's hormones which just play on you, but you become definitely maternal, and it's a natural process. It's a natural process. So the first thing you think of is you as a natural, as opposed to you as, I have to deliver, I have to hit this thing, there's this deal here, there's the other. All those things start being blurry because something has happened to you. And it's not because you want it or because you've asked for it. It's nature taking its course. Some people, it does affect them more, others it doesn't. So to me, I was just trying to understand why. Why don't I, like, waking up at, being in office at 6 o'clock or leaving office maybe 2 a.m. in the night, suddenly all those things don't make sense because there's a crying child. There's that, instinctively, you hear your child crying and everything people are discussing does not make sense anymore. Yeah. Then you have to run back and you ask yourself, so because of that guilt, you're like, maybe I'm not, I'm not able actually to practice, I'm not good enough and all this thing. But I was very lucky, again, going back to cats, is that I was able to share what was going through at that time with my colleagues at that time. And I was like, you guys, I can't make this time. I can't because I have to breastfeed. I have to take care of my children. I have to do this and this and this. And I took flexi time out, like, coming in late in the morning, coming in late or coming in early and leaving early. But then to many, if you're in a workspace where it's not possible, then you just leave. Yeah, definitely. Because nature is calling. And now when going through that period, I also experienced feminine energy. Feminine energy is different, completely different. Masculine energy is very physical, right? Feminine energy, as women, we can do so much seated in one place. You guys, happy? I'm in Arua, I'm in Soroti. It's very possible. A female body, especially, I have gone through C-sections. I can't go to Arua, come back tomorrow, go to Soroti, or whatever. I can do it, but I'll be completely popped and exhausted. My body will be. So now, how do you, I had to be very strategic and say, okay, I need to understand what my feminine energy requires me to do. Remember what I talked, it's also similar to understanding my sleep cycle and how it affects my body. Those are things, when you mature, you understand. And also that's also what they call being intentional with your life. Understanding why aren't I able to perform at this time? What are my peak hours? So I also understand my feminine energy and starting to practice law as a female. It just made a very big difference, meaning understanding the challenges that that I had to deal with at that time. That yes, my male colleagues with whom we left school at the same time, they've had children, but they're not the primary caregivers. I am the primary caregiver, so which means that I need a flexible, a different timetable to be able to fulfill that role and also to be able to fulfill the role at work. Now, many times you break trying to be the same person as we left law school and all this. Anyway, then I also understood our inner strength as women, understood the strength we have, the positives that comes with feminine energy. We are more empathetic. We are more, and we look at and I studied the female brain, things and looks at things completely differently from the male brain. Yes, we are all humans, but we perceive, understand things differently.
There's certainly going to be a bit of backlash on that, but yeah.
Really?
Yes. I mean, the female brain and the male brain perceiving things differently. We'll have another debate, but it's okay.
Why would it be? No, but that is the understanding that. But we are different. I think that's science, no? You think we have? Oh my God, trust me. But okay, let's say it's not even in a workspace. Let me say me as a person, as a woman at home, right? Thinking of myself and my husband, right? This is the female brain can be able to, we think, you can go like this, and in many like different circles, then you're tapping into your friends, then you're able to, do work, then you're able to do the work at home, you're thinking of the babies, you're thinking of dinner, you're thinking of, no. My husband's brain is, what am I required to do? That box is done. What am I, you understand? That is how you work. In different, and you focus highly on that. Now the female is like, now I have to go shopping. Now that, but we are all seated in the same room. I'm here, and I've been thinking of my children. So does that make me less of a human? No, it doesn't make me less of a human. It doesn't make you less of a human. That is just how we are wired. And if the female didn't have that kind of brain, because you're just thinking, so I'm here and I'm like, is there something I'm supposed to take home? No, my husband, he has to first finish this meeting and think of that.
Maybe call.
Now for me, I already have a mental note, what I'm supposed to do. But that's how the female brain works. If it wasn't like that, trust me, there will be no babies on the streets. Because if the baby starts confusing you when they're in the womb, it starts communicating to you what they need. You have to take care of their needs. I need iron. I need to take these vitamins. I need to do this. They're sending you messages. You have to grasp these messages. But remember, you're supposed to be on your desk and work. Your male colleague is there. He's not receiving these messages, but you're receiving them. So what are you supposed to do? So your brain, but I don't see what kind of backlash coming up. That's definitely science, and it has been big. If you Google and go online, you will see that we have completely. And it doesn't mean that one is bad. One is
good or
better than
greater.
the other.
Yes.
No, it's all for different functions. Yeah, for society to function and have humans younger than us, you need that female brain. Otherwise, we'll forget about them. You're going to give birth, go to work, and completely forget that your child has to nurse.
And the start school. All right.
Yes.
Because that already happens. So just before we get your parting shots, I'm going to do a little segment. Thankfully, to someone who benefits from the wisdom that you share with us, who has pushed me to do this segment. So it's a little briefer, a little more breakdown of questions. So there are about 4 questions, and the first one is if you could list some of the milestones that you've had and how they've contributed to how you look at life.
The milestones in the legal profession, or
generally legal profession, but yeah, could be general.
The milestones have been so many, just like the challenges are many. So the milestones are so many.
Could give us 3, the top 3 or top 4, and then
Oh my God, like where do I start from? First of all, I became a lawyer, isn't that amazing?
No, it is because
Like
it is a journey. Yes,
because I would if they're compartmentalized and say, okay, in my life, like private life or as a mother, milestone as a milestones, there are just so many, because I've had a lot of privilege to serve. I love to serve, actually, as a leader. Okay, so one of the things I felt, this was I think 2019. You go through life as a lawyer and you do all sorts of things, but then you're like, clearly as a senior, as a lawyer, you work with many people all over the world, right? There are those like moments. There was a moment I had in 2019 where I was invited on the same panel to speak at a global event with the guy I told you who mentored me, who I look up at as a mentor in the legal tech world,
yes.
Richard Sanskid. And I was on this panel. In my head, I'm just thinking, this is the guy, he's like, trust me, he is the it and all in the whole, industry. But I was just thinking, how did they pick me and then pick him? Because it was just the 2 of us.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And you were the panel?
On the, yeah.
Okay, the same panel, yes.
And of course, they kept on asking us questions in my head, but I kept on asking myself, like, yeah, I'm alive, and and it's Richard there, and I was just calling, Richard, I do remember.
At the back of your mind, you're thinking.
In my head, I'm like,
oh my God,
how did this happen? Like, the 2 of us, and I'm sure to him he was like, okay, that was just another one. Go on to the next thing. Yeah, to me, I felt like that was really a very because you do different. I speak a lot at different whatevers, at different and I'm part of different public what they call it
spaces, boards.
No, not boards. Like I've co-published certain different things in the legal tech space with different people, and done different collaborations. So I guess in one of those things, that's when definitely my name came out. But when you're doing all this work, you understand, I've worked with people in Colombia, or working in different blockchain, not Colombia, in Mexico, working on blockchain spaces. And the question you ask yourself is, clearly someone in that network did that. But when you're working with people and publishing all sorts of content, you just never know where it will get you. So to me, I felt like, I think that just sharing, this space panel with this guy was literally, anyway, that was like a career moment, because if you're asking about like different transactions in the legal tech space, I feel one of the things that really also excited me, that this was in 2019, there's a client at that time, the client was the first digital financial institution to be awarded a license. We didn't have a law at all in that space. We didn't have anything to do with like data protection. We didn't have anything to regulate technology industry or all these emerging technologies. They were all there, and this client was operating in the some virtually. So working with Bank of Uganda for like 2 years, back and forth, trying to explain to them what blockchain is, what cryptocurrencies are. They were kind of also quite scared, but then finally they issued the license. There was just a lot of the whole experience was really a completely different level to anything I had ever done, and achieved that as the first virtual license, actually within East Africa, and I think within Africa. But anyway, so I felt like that was kind of a peak moment for me. In my life, personal life, it could have been, I genuinely enjoy teaching my children. So I enjoy being able to nurture the new generation. And I started that before even having children, but now with my children, because we homeschool them. I don't teach them directly, like the math and everything, but we have different teachers. But I'm heavily involved in the content, what they learn, what they experience, what they do on a day-to-day basis. We have so many teachers, but I really enjoy that. Another milestone is being part of that eco-civilization. I feel it's a global movement, and again, handpicked by the former vice president of Slovenia. She reached out to me and just put me on these, committees where we are doing a lot of amazing work to help human beings come up with a new civilization where human beings are more connected to nature. In everything you do, you're understanding nature, how it benefits us. Remember what I told you, what really takes me up in the morning is making human beings know how they can heal better by just, connecting with nature. Yeah.
All right. So question number 2 will require a name. Yes. So your journey so far, life, legal, what's that one name that you feel that you give their flowers for the contribution they've made in your journey? That one person.
Who has made?
Yes, who has contributed significantly, whose support has been your anchor for you to, to make it through.
In life?
Yes.
I feel my husband.
Your husband. Okay.
You know why? Because I feel people always say that definitely your partner makes a very big difference how they definitely support you. And yeah, I do appreciate that he's very, very supportive. So yeah, that's someone.
Interesting. And yeah, I was thinking we'll be getting senior counsel's name.
Oh, like lawyers in the...
Dad.
You just ask generally.
Yes, I know.
If it's in the legal profession, the names I would give is just definitely our senior partners. Because the reason is that by the time we started law, they had like very like giant wings. You understand? They didn't. It wasn't necessary for them to give us their wings to fly, right? But they did it. You understand? When you have a giant wing just helping you, understand? Like, it gives you a platform, and anywhere you go in the
Gives
world,
you a huge reach.
yes, exactly. Like anywhere you go in the world, like you feel you're supported, right? And you have that wing. You understand? I just feel I am extremely indebted to that. That's in the legal profession. So, but also they've definitely influenced how I do things outside the legal space.
The legal field as well. So kudos to Mr. Sempewa and Mr. Katendo on that, and then of course Mr. Blazevic. We've really gained
in the
legal
world. Yes, definitely those two.
And then okay, all right. So second last, if there was one person who is no longer here, if you had a wish and could be granted, if there's one person who is not with us anymore, who, if they could come back to life and you have a cup of tea with them, who would it be?
A cup of tea in someone
or
in
a discussion, anyone really.
I think it would be definitely my father.
To be your father,
because he mentored me definitely into the legal profession. And many times I'm able, actually, I don't feel, I get wisdom. I still get wisdom from him. So whether he's back or not, and have a cup of tea. I'm deeply spiritual as a human being, and I understand how God works and how he manifests in different people. So to me, I get different messages, which I know definitely they would be from my father. Yeah.
That's very deep and touching. Then last but not least, we talked about a couple of books. There's a lot of knowledge that you exude when you speak. So at least we have the one thing on the list. If you could give us at least 3 other books, that we could read, and then make ourselves better.
Malcolm Gladwell, 48 Powers of Law.
Yes.
That's as in for the legal profession.
48 Laws of Power, yes.
There's another book by Steve Covey, How to Be Highly Efficient, 7 Things for Highly Efficient People.
Efficient people, yes.
Yeah, I think 7 Habits for Highly Efficient people. Yeah, Steve Covey.
Okay,
those 3 books, that's the one thing. Yeah. That one helped me stop running around like a headless chicken, focusing on one thing at a time. And Steve Covey, just knowing how to excel, just being efficient, actually, just being efficient. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much. Our time is fast spent. I think we have a few minutes really, or seconds to 10 p.m., which is about 30 minutes. But your parting shots to a young lawyer out there.
To a young lawyer out there, knowing basically what the kind of environment we are in now, I feel that I mentioned it earlier, not to be afraid of what the technologies are bringing or have brought to us, but to adapt. Try as much as possible to adapt and understand the technologies that are on the market. They are no longer emerging technologies. They are the technologies of today. Understanding them, how they work, and how they can actually benefit you as a young lawyer. I just feel you'll have an edge over so many of your peers. Because if all of you don't really understand the technologies and this is what is available on the market, then you're all heading pretty much in the same direction. You can stand out and try to learn. And by the way, you can upscale, you can teach yourself many of these tools, how they're used and how most of these platforms are used. And I guess you'll be good to go. That is for a young lawyer. But also, I think generally, whether you're 50 years or whatever, the most important thing is adapting to the changes we are going through right now in the legal profession. Yeah. The use of using technology, delivering legal services or running a law firm or a law business is extremely important.
All right. So thank you so much, Alice. It's always a pleasure. It's always a very good discussion. It's always a good opportunity to learn. So I appreciate it. And thank you for making time. And most importantly, for this space, thank you for allowing us to have coffee with Alice on board. I mean, there's a journey there that myself, Mary, and the rest of the team knew we had to have on board to be able to make things a little bit easier. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard from Mrs. Blazevic herself. And before we cry about the paycheck and the price tag about AI technology, she said some of these things, you can learn for free, and we buy data every single day. So you can as well, go to YouTube and learn some of these things. Some of the services are free. Even before you subscribe, you just have to put up with a few ads, like I do, to be able to make it. But from myself, from Mary, Peter, the rest of the team at Buwule and Mayiga, Mrs. Blazevic, we thank you for making time for our second edition. Please make time to go back, for those who joined it a bit late, to catch up on the snippets you actually missed, and then also make time to go back and tap into the wisdom shared by OHTWA. And we'll be back in a month or two with yet another panelist who will be shining a light on our path. From me and the team and Mrs. Blazevic, a good night to you, and thank you.